And honest, I've been struggling with not being in a romantic relationship. I yearn for that companionship. I yearn for that warm embrace when we reunite from the day's duties. I yearn for the goodnight kisses and good morning wishes, those flirtatious smiles from across the room that say, God, you're sexy. I'm so glad you're in my life. I avoid climbing into my bed every night. It's tough. In this episode, I go in deep on how good things are worth waiting for. That even though right now it might be painful, the reality that you don't have whatever it is that you're working towards or, working and waiting for, that the wait is worth it and that settling just doesn't expand you as a person. This is episode 74, Good Things Are Worth Waiting For. Welcome to Healing with Haley. I'm your coach, Haley Kirk. On this podcast, we dive into ways to heal, embrace, and truly love our lives. Here's my belief. So much of our suffering comes from what we believe. I'm here to help you understand your mind and question those thoughts to start your healing journey. Ready to get started? Let's go. Welcome to the podcast, you guys. I am so excited to share this with you. April has been a roller coaster. Can I just say March and April are like WTF? So in March 1st, I got bronchitis and I've been healing and trying to manage that ailment. It's so tough because that whole month I haven't wanted or felt the energy to go to the gym. I didn't want to get other people sick. I was really afraid of infecting other people. And, that's my community. I don't want to put it on them. That's selfish. And then this past, cough was clearing up. Everything was doing well. And I was like, you know what? I bet a lot of this is environmental. So I'm going to do a deep clean of my house. I'm going to, dust everything, vacuum floors. I was just going to do everything. My car, clean my car up because, I didn't know dust would be in your car, but that makes sense, right? So I decided to do a detail clean. And then I found mold in my basement, but I didn't use gloves. I didn't use masks. I didn't do anything. And so I'm still, recovering from bronchitis. And then that was, this past Saturday, April 5th. And then on April 6th, I felt this insane, intense, sharp pain in my chest. And it was like my upper left side of my chest. And it was so intense, and it would change. It would kind of go to the back, like my upper back. It was so painful. It was really, really painful. They didn't find anything, but I'm healthy apparently. So that's good. I think for me, it's tough, right? A waiting game is tough. I've never liked roller coaster rides for that reason. I'm like, the pain of waiting isn't worth the reward of a 30-second roller coaster ride. I do like the ride. I don't like the wait. It's so boring. And I know people play games and you get to talk to your friends, and I enjoy that, but I don't enjoy the waiting. I've never enjoyed it. I'm like, how do I avoid lines altogether? That's always my goal. Is like, how do I just walk and get right to where I need to go? Like when it comes to airplanes, I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't even care if I'm the first aboard. I'm like, well, being the first aboard is nice because I wouldn't wait in a line. But since I'm not the very first person on that plane, I have to wait. And I just don't enjoy it. And I was always under this impression that I can go at the very end of the airplane and just walk right in. I think that's so possible for me, and I enjoy it. So waiting, right? I saw this Instagram post and I'm going to link it in the show notes because I thought it was just wild. It was this very beautiful cartoon artistic depiction of these two skeletons. And, they're humans and they're kind of giving these lasting parts of wisdom, it felt like. And, it's kind of one of those carousel posts on Instagram where you're just flipping through these really powerful nuggets of wisdom. And I saw this one and it just hit me so hard. It hit me so hard. It said, "Good things are worth waiting for." And the two skeletons, one of them had a book. I think the other one had like a magnifying glass, not binoculars. And it occurred to me that they were standing on a lighthouse, but at the top of the lighthouse, right? Not like inside of it, but a lighthouse. And it's crazy to me how hard it hit me because I feel that waiting for quite a few things. I'm really waiting for my businesses, right? I do my heels dancing, my team. I do life coaching. I do podcasting. I do real estate, very little real estate. And I'm also wanting to build a family and to meet my person. And I'm working on those things and I'm waiting at the same time. So I'm doing both. I don't like to kind of just wait for something to happen in my life. I like manifesting, but also doing it with work. I like to put the work in to get things. It feels rewarding for me. And I just thought it was so interesting that they were at a lighthouse because so the symbolism of a lighthouse is there's so many. Okay, here we go. Guidance and direction. A lighthouse exists to guide ships safely through darkness, storms, and uncertainty. We just did an uncertainty workshop. If you guys aren't onto it yet, I'm going to send a link here in the podcast show notes. You guys have that. It's free. You just sign up for my email list and then you get access to the free workshop. It doesn't go out looking for ships. It stands tall, radiating light, trusting that its presence will be found when it's most needed. So for me, it was kind of like this lighthouse symbolized me, that I'm like anchoring in my values. I'm waiting for my person, my ship, right, to find me through love and faith, right? Like I'm trying to be stalwart. I'm unwavering in my values, and I really am in this kind of receiving energy. I love being in that feminine in that way. And here's some other examples of the metaphor, the symbolism of the lighthouse. Steadfastness and patience. Y'all, I am probably the most impatient person. I'm just not patient. And I love having Israel because he really has taught me the art of patience. And especially my cute little toddler, almost 3-year-old, he's taught me many ways to be patient. And a lighthouse doesn't move, right? It weathers harsh conditions. It remains unshaken. And it speaks to the kind of patience that I am trying to practice, right? I'm not going to waver in what I want. I know what I want. And I have met a lot of really cool people, really great guys, and have a lot of what I'm looking for, but not all of what I'm looking for. And it's very important to me that it matches all of it. Another example or symbolism that the lighthouse has is the hope in darkness. A lighthouse is most useful when everything around it is dark, foggy, and uncertain. In those emotional nights when I'm, laying in the bed, lighthouses symbolize faith. Believing love is still out there, even if I can't see it yet. So that really hit me, that I am really practicing faith that person exists, one, and then that person will find me. So there's a lot of faith happening. in this waiting energy. Self-reliance and inner light is another example of the symbolism behind the lighthouse. The lighthouse doesn't depend on others to shine. It has its own source of light. This reflects my inner radiance, right? Or your inner radiance, your ability to hold space for yourself and your desires. And I'm not empty while I'm waiting. I'm full. I'm lit from within because I am still living my life while I'm waiting for my love life. And I love that concept from Matthew Hussey. He created this community called Love Life. And he's like, I don't want to be known as the person who gets people in relationships or fixes. But he's like, if you leave an unhealthy relationship, good. That's what I want for you. If you break off an unhealthy relationship or you find a relationship, I want your life. I want you to love your life and then find the right love life for you. I love that idea that you're whole no matter your relationship status. So I don't know why I'm so vulnerable with you guys. It's tough, but I feel like the more vulnerable I can be, the more vulnerable it gives you permission to be. And something about this really hit me hard, and I had to talk about it. And I think to myself, as I yearn for that companionship, I want to speak to you, the listener, who has been yearning for something. Like if you feel like something is missing in your life, whether it's a romantic partner, whether it's your dream career, whether it's, rekindled friendship, or maybe you're looking for new friends, maybe you're looking for new activities or hobbies or a new relationship with your body, something missing that you're working towards and you're kind of waiting, right? This playing the waiting game is tough. It's tough, right? Or you want to buy a new house, or you want to go on this dream vacation, right? Whatever you're yearning for and kind of having to wait for, this episode is for you. And I want you guys, as I talk about my yearning for my person, my dream partner, I want you to fill in the blank, whatever it is that you're yearning and waiting for. Are you waiting for your social media to pop off? Are you waiting for, the next opportunity to meet an important person that could, help propel your career or your business idea? I want you to fill in the blank. When I say my person, my, romantic partner, my boo, I want you to fill in the blank, whatever it is you're waiting for, whatever it is you're yearning for. So I think for me, the hardest part is going to bed. And the reason it's so hard is I am the type of person, I'm sure like you, I'm sure you can relate with this, is that, our days are busy. They're filled with doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, kids gotta, go outside. And, oh, if I don't have kids, I have a job, and then I have to take care of my oil change, my taxes, right? We're in the midst of tax season. I have to pay my bills. I have to do the laundry, do the groceries. I have to meal prep. I have to go to the gym. Oh, I have to make sure I'm making room for fun and commitments to friends. So it's so easy to fill our days. And I think that's fine. I think we're meant to do good laborious work, right? And then at the end of the day, I think that's the hardest for me, and I know I'm not alone in this, is because it's a reality check, right? For me, I can be busy and fill my mind, and then when it comes to ending the day, I'm faced with the reality that there's not that person in my bed with me. Those goodnight kisses, those, oh my gosh, today sucked. And then they say, tell me about it. We hug it out, kiss it out, love it out. I got me, and I do have my back. I love my relationship with myself, and it continues to grow and improve. It just amplifies, right? When you have that person, notice how whenever you accomplish something amazing, what do you want to do immediately in that moment? You want to go tell like the loved ones in your life about it. It amplifies our emotions and our successes, and it holds and reassures and heals us when we go through hardship and we have those companionships. And so when I climb into bed and I am all alone in my bed, but my little guy's with me in his toddler bed. So I'm not terribly alone, but alone in the sense of my companion, right? And it's such a reality check. And sometimes I just let myself cry and I just drift off into sleep from that sadness. And it's a nice release of, the sadness in my body. And I do like that I do that, but it's one of those, as a life coach, we talk about clean pain and dirty pain, and clean pain is just accepting something hard, right? It's hard to lose something. It's hard to acknowledge you don't have something, right? Dirty pain would be going into blame and how could they and why did they, and victim mindset, right? The world's out to get me. I'm never meant to be with someone. I'm meant to be alone. That's dirty pain on top of clean pain. So I do, though, choose that pain. I choose to be alone in my bed because, one, that's not something I value, is to just have someone in my bed. I don't want someone on Tinder or Bumble or whatever app, right? That's just looking for a hookup. That's so not something I value. I would rather be alone and go a long time without being intimate with someone than just to be intimate with someone just 'cause. For me, that's not something I value. And it could be from a religious place. I did grow up in the Mormon church, and I like that conditioning. I like that value system. I think it's very important for me at least, to be intimate with the right person, the person that sees a future with me, wants to build things with me. I think for me, that's something I value. And I think that it makes intimacy more deep and powerful and beautiful and vulnerable. I love those aspects of it. And so that's the pain that I choose. I choose to be alone when I go to bed. I would prefer that. I think it's safer for me and my son. I have to consider whoever I invite into my life, I'm also inviting into my son's life. So it compounds the scrutiny in who I surround myself with. And I actually like that. I think it's setting me up for better filtration systems. And I know that it is a pain that I'm choosing for something greater. And I think there's something to be said about just waiting, right? So when I was talking to you guys about the pain that I'm choosing, think about the pains in your life. And I'm also going to link this meditation I've been doing with my physical pain, but this also can be applied to an emotional pain, right? Grief, bereavement, loss, anger, shame, all of these really deep emotions that can be pretty painful. So I'm going to link this meditation, side note, but what I want to talk about is if you think about the pain you experience on a day to day, is it even pain that you want? Let me explain. David Goggins, he is an amazing author and motivational speaker. And he says in his book, Can't Hurt Me, choose pain every day. Like he's like, I want you to choose pain every single day. And what he's talking about is not in a sadistic way, but in a way that is, working out is painful, but that pain then translates and transforms into strength and endurance and health, right? So there's a pain that will get you something in return, right? There's the pain of cleaning, right? Oh, for me, it's so painful to clean. I don't enjoy it. So what I do is I watch TV or something like, I'm really into Dr. House right now. I don't know if you guys know of that show, but it's called House MD. And oh, it's such a great show. And especially because I've been going through all these health issues, I also have been wanting to pretend like I'm doing some investigative and learning about health through this show. But anyway, to stay on track. So pain, right? There's the pain that we choose. And it's painful to, go on dating apps or go on a blind date or be set up on a date. There's some discomfort, right? There's pain in going grocery shopping and meal prepping and cleaning your house and doing the taxes. There's a lot of pain, but that pain translates into, oh, the IRS isn't going to come after me, or yeah, I'm keeping my house clean so that we can have a clean environment where, our brains feel peaceful. We won't experience rodents and insects. It's a clean place. So, that's the reward of having a clean environment. And, the reward of going on dating apps is you actually learn so much about yourself. And it has really helped me to narrow down. And my barometer for bullcrap is so strong, right? My barometer for red flags is the instrument has been fine-tuned. Absolutely. And so there is pain, but we want to make sure that we're choosing pain that fulfills our goals or that will lead us to the end result that we desire, right? So I also think it's interesting to think about what pain you're allowing. Are you allowing people to walk all over you? Are you allowing people to talk to you in ways that you're not comfortable with? And here's what's interesting, right? We can't control other people. We can control ourselves, who we allow in, who we allow to spend time with us, right? Our time is something we can definitely control. And who we allow into our environments is something we can control. There's so much we can control. And there's also so much we can't. So be aware of what pain you're allowing into your life. We don't want to be saying yes when we want to be saying no. Why would we do that? And I've been listening to Gabor Mate, and he is an amazing researcher on trauma. He's the trauma expert now, and he recently did a free webinar, and he was talking about how our yeses and nos actually can come from trauma, like childhood trauma. And when are you saying yes when you want to say no? Why are you saying yes? And he kind of has you go through these questions, and it's so interesting. So think about that. Think about the pain you're allowing that you like, because it's going to get you to the end result. Think about the pain that you don't like, that is keeping you in this stuck relationship, money pitfalls, fitness flaws, unhealthy habits, all the above. Okay. All right. So I really want to touch back on the living while waiting, because I feel like a lighthouse, if we're going back to that metaphor, I feel like it's this vibrant edifice, right? It's always on a hill. You can usually see the sunrise and the sunset. I feel like it's by an ocean and water, and I feel like it's still living and breathing and being. And it's also in this receiving energy. Like I'm going to put myself in the place where my ship, my dream is going to come, right? And so I think that whatever you're waiting for, you must continue to live and not just sit idly. So one of the examples that come to mind when we don't want to just be waiting, right? A great example is in Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, Miss Havisham. If you're not familiar with the story, so Miss Havisham, she is this wealthy spinster who was jilted at the altar decades before the story begins. So on the morning of her wedding, she receives this letter revealing her fiance had swindled her for money and never intended to marry her. So what she ends up doing is so all-consuming bitterness, right? So she stops all the clocks in her mansion at the exact moment she read the letter. She continued to wear her wedding dress, and then it yellowed and it decayed and there were spider webs everywhere. She left the wedding cake to rot on the table, and she lived in darkness, both literally and emotionally, drawing the curtains and never letting the sunlight in. She became a ghost of herself, emotionally stuck in the moment of the heartbreak. So not only did she let it affect her, but then she adopted this little girl named Estella and raised her to break men's hearts as a twisted way to avenge herself from the male gender. So it's just a living metaphor for what happens when we allow our pain to just calcify, but also she's just kind of waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen, right? For justice for her person. And when we live in the past, it lets heartbreak define us. It rots us. It just destroys us. And it's interesting because in the end, she died because her old dress catches on fire, which is a dramatic symbolism of how her past consumed her, or she let her past consume her. Crazy story. But I think that it can leave us stuck, right? So if we're not really living, let's say our dream person comes along and we're Miss Havisham, like, ew, he's gonna be repulsed, if we're just like harboring all this festering, boiling anger and resentment and bitterness in us, we're gonna be so unattractive to that person we're trying to attract and our person. And they're just not going to, one, be attracted to us. Two, how can we even see them clearly if we're hating men? We're projecting that all men are the men that we have previously experienced, right? So it's just so interesting to consider the story of Miss Havisham in Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I hope that this episode has given you some hope. I hope that it has given you some guidance and the power of waiting for something good. I think that there's so many examples, right? Like when, aging wine, aging cheese, right? Like waiting for things to take their time, investments, right? When you consider compounding interest, the power of compounding interest, like there is so much examples in life of waiting, but also living while waiting. There's something so powerful to that. And I think that waiting for something good to come and that good things will come and that they're worth waiting for is so powerful. I leave this with you guys with all my love. Please share the episode with someone you love, with someone you care about. This really helps me and it really, really matters in just helping us think about things in a different way and making our lives absolutely freaking amazing. Love you guys. Thank you for your love. Thank you for listening. Again, please share with someone you love. Have a great day. All right, before you go, I need you to hear this. You don't need to keep white knuckling your way through life. You don't need to figure it out on your own. You deserve support. You deserve strategy. You deserve to feel like yourself again. And that's exactly why I'm offering you a complimentary free 30-minute coaching session. No strings, no pressure, just real conversation, real breakthroughs, and a real chance to feel lighter, clearer, and way more in control. If you've been listening and nodding your head thinking, yes, that's me, then this is the moment to stop thinking and start doing. Click the link in the show notes and schedule your free session right now. Right now, not later, not when you have time, right this moment, because you're worth showing up for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at healing_with_Haley. I am here for you, but don't overthink it. What you're going to do in this free session is we're going to unpack any negative belief systems, build momentum with clear strategies, leave you feeling lighter, calmer, more confident, more grounded. These are the emotions you're going to feel after a session with me. Don't overthink it. The life you want starts with one decision. This could be the one thing that changes everything for you this year. Let's do this.